All
So
right.
come with another one.
I'm gonna pivot. I'm gonna go forward. I'm gonna go to my high school years. Both of these artists are still alive. They're not really relevant in the R&B scene no more, but they were 20 years ago. I'm gonna go Genuine versus Donnell Jones. I remember growing up, 15, 16 years old. Those were two of the biggest solo artists around. In 2000, Donnell Jones and Genuine were big time.
No, I'm not looking at you like you're crazy. I'm just thinking.
Yeah, you got
I'm
Pony.
with you.
Tell me, do you wanna? I'll do anything. Same OG. And then you got Knocks Me Off My Feet. We just talked about Stevie. Donnell, sampled that or covered it basically.
He
You get
covered it. Yeah, it's a cover.
You
It's a
Know What's
great
Up.
cover.
Yeah. You know what's up. You should know.
Oh, you know what's up? I love that
Where
song.
I want to
My
be.
gosh.
Where I want to be. Fantastic song.
You know that I love you.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That
This
is my jam all day. I love that. That song is still banging even now.
yeah, this love and my personal Donnell Jones favorite song is "Do What I Got to Do." It wasn't as big as the other ones. It wasn't the Shaft soundtrack. It samples from the Isaac Hayes song "Walk On By."
Yeah. I'm familiar. Yeah.
I love that song. It's like my favorite Donnell song. But I tell people that they're like, what song are you talking about again? But yeah, this isn't Stevie versus Donnell, but these are two artists that I grew up listening to as a teenager, young adult. So I just want to give them a quick shout out. I think their careers kind of parallel together. They were kind of both hot at the same time, at the late '90s, early 2000s, and then they both kind of fell off around the same time. So I thought that'd have been an interesting battle, and it's one that can still possibly happen if somebody else is thinking like me. So
Yeah, they better hurry up with it because I'm not sure what condition Genuine's voice is in at this point. I know he was having a lot of problems
yeah,
just as a human being there for a while. I hope he's doing better now.
I think he has an album coming out soon. I think I remember reading something about that. But yeah, he was kind of. I remember seeing a performance with him and Tyrese and Tank. Um,
Yeah.
some Good
Yeah,
Morning.
the TGT thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like tweaking out, or he was doing. I don't know what he was doing. He was like twitching, and
Yeah, he wasn't doing well.
yeah, there. And Tyrese was looking at him like, what are you doing? So I don't know what was going on there, but
Yeah.
um, it's unfortunate though because he was pretty big. There was a time there where he was right up there with Usher and R. Kelly as
Oh, he was. He was one of the main vehicles for Timbaland's whole sound. It
yeah,
was like
that
him and
was
Aaliyah and Missy
right.
between the three of them. He had what is it? What's So Different was another one that I really liked. The thing was a
Oh
banger.
yeah,
Final Warning with Aaliyah.
yeah,
Like, my gosh, same old G. Of course, you said that already. That's one of my favorites of his.
yeah. Differences was a big record. I don't think Timbaland produced that, but that was a huge one right there.
Yeah. That wasn't Timberland, but still, it's a great record. He sounded good on it. He has nice tone, and he could
Yeah,
really sing too, and could
right.
move. And it's another one that we don't have if we don't have James Brown first. But
Exactly.
either there's so many. But either way, it's yeah. And the he did a cover of "She's Out of My Life." It's pretty good too, actually.
Did he?
It's at the yeah. It's I think it's at the end of that. Yeah, the end of that. What was it? I'm gonna cheat. I don't care. 100% Genuine record. It's right at the end of it.
Okay.
It's pretty good actually.
Yeah. Stingy was another one that he did that I liked too. Stingy from the Barbershop soundtrack.
Yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
Yeah. So he had, like I said, he had a good little run there between like '96 and 2003. I thought. Same with Donald Jones. They had pretty good runs there.
Yeah, they did, but they both kind of flamed out too, kind of rather unspectacularly. So they
Yeah,
kind of
and it was kind of around that same time when auto tune started to kind of come to T Pain introduced that, and then you had Chris Brown, Neo, and Trey Songz. It was just it was just a different time. Younger artists were coming up that were just replacing them. Doing what they were doing, except they were younger, so it was just more fashionable. It happens.
yeah, that's true. No, that's a good pairing. It wasn't one that I thought of. So, okay, so you've mentioned the pairing. Who wins?
I'd have to give it to Genuine. I feel like he has a little bit more in the arsenal of his catalog. Watching him perform like Pony or something like that would probably put it over the top. Pop locking with a broom, doing all that stuff. Like I said, Donnell wasn't really um, that wasn't really his thing, but man, just to hear him sing, I thought he was a better singer though. I thought Donnell was a much better singer.
I think
That
so too.
decent singer, but that wasn't his strength though. It was his looks and his, he can dance and do all that stuff. He was a pretty boy. You know what I mean? Um, But to hear him sing like "Where I Want to Be," that would have been really good, you know. But that's the Junior Wine though.
Yeah, yeah. Interesting to know too that Donnell has been incredibly consistent, even though he like commercially fell off a bit. He hasn't
Right.
stopped releasing music. He
No,
just
yeah.
he did that tune with a and the name of it's escaping me, but he did that duet with John B that's actually pretty good.
Idiot, I'm going to check that out. I don't think I've heard that before.
It's pretty good.
Okay.
It's pretty good. I can't remember the name of it. It's old, but because I'm getting old, but the things that you should know and you just can't remember them. But it's pretty good. If you look it up
Yeah.
on YouTube, you'll find it. It's decent. So and they both still sound very good. Neither has lost a step vocally or
Okay.
anything. So I think John's our age, or at least I know he's my age. I'm not
John
sure
B.
about Donnell in terms of his age.
Donnell was probably he's probably around your age, I would assume, because he was what early 20s when he was hot. You know, when he was big.
Let's see. I'll cheat. I'm pretty sure that
Genuine was born in 75, I believe. So
there. Let's see. How old is Donnell? Oh gosh, he is my age. Wow, when did that happen?
what is he? How old is he?
He's 47.
Okay.
My gosh. And John is actually younger. He's 46, just a little bit younger.
Yeah, he just came out earlier. Yeah.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Why? Why is this happening to me?
Right. It's
Um,
crazy. Crazy.
your time is coming. It's not already
Yeah.
here.
Yep. It's kind of already here. Yeah.
Yeah, well, enjoy. I've enjoyed it so much. I've
And
enjoyed
it's
it
so
much.
weird. It's so weird, like, you know, that you mentioned that because like in high school, you're so young and you're so naive, and then you see the musicians and artists that you like listening to, they're young and they're cool and you know they're hit, they're the fashionable ones. And then to see them like on unsung and stuff like that, like to see Case or John B on unsung, and they look older and more mature and more sophisticated, and you're just like, what the hell, man? Like what happened? Like they're not the it thing no more. They're not the fashion. You know what I mean? It's crazy. It's
Yeah,
like wow, you know.
but they shouldn't be. I mean,
No,
it's
you're right. Yeah,
okay. Podcast idea number four. There are so many ideas that are coming out of this. I love it.
yeah.
But for me, it's like, I mean, yeah, I'm trying to fix the lens again, but this camera, but whatever. But no, it's so like to my way of thinking, like I never want to be like the old man standing on his lawn yelling at the kids to get off of it. I never
Yeah,
want to be
I
that.
don't either. I don't either.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like kids deserve to have the kids. The young people deserve to have their music.
Right.
And I'm not
And
supposed to get it. It's because it's not for me. That's
mhm,
okay.
yeah,
I'll try to. I mean, I
yeah.
don't ever want to be so closed-minded that I won't listen to it.
Hmm.
But if I don't get it, that's okay. It ain't for me anyway. Just like the stuff that I loved wasn't for my parents. And I took, to be honest with you, and maybe you feel the same way, I took great pleasure in that too. I love the fact that I listened to music that they didn't understand. If they didn't understand it, that just made it more interesting to me
And it made it more popular. It made it more cool. You know, that's just
because it was mine. Like
right,
this belongs to me. It's not yours because you don't get it. So it's all
right.
mine.
And it's funny because like I remember sometime back, I think it might have been Quavo from Migos said like, "Hey, we're the greatest hip hop, we're the biggest hip hop group of all time." He never said they were the greatest. He said they're the biggest, the most popular. And it's I don't think it's necessarily true, but I can see why he would think that because Migos they're very popular. They've influenced the whole entire generation with the mumble rap and you know them
Yeah.
along. And mumble rap isn't my thing. I'm more of a hip hop purist. But I remember, I think it was Bone Thugs and Harmony. I think Crazy Bone had said something. He got offended, and then sparked this whole Twitter war. And then he put out a diss song, and it's like, you look very dumb and out of touch right now. Like you just like it's not your time no more. You know, the industry has passed you on, and that's okay. Nobody pop forever. You know what I mean?
Thank you. That's it's
Let these
okay
young
that that happens.
let
Yeah.
these young dudes let them have their time, man. You know, because you got to remember, you got to put yourself in the young person's shoes when you were between the ages of 20 and 25 or whatever. You were naive. You were full of you were full of it. You thought that you were the greatest thing ever, and that your time on top was never gonna it was never gonna end. And it happens to everybody. Everybody thinks like that at some point that they're invisible, and so you just keep
Invincible. Yeah.
going,
He
man,
said invisible.
invisible, yeah. But yeah, you just
That
got
too.
you just got to let them have their time. Like their time,
Yeah.
and they're gonna reflect back, and boy, they're gonna say, man, I was young and dumb. It happens to everybody. So you just instead of trying to like put down their generation or put down the music that they're doing, they're trying to, crap on everything that they do. Be a mentor, or if you can't be that, just step aside.
And the fact is, I mean, when
Yeah.
we were younger, there were the artists that we loved. Okay, I don't think you and I were actually this way, so maybe
Hmm.
we're not a good example. But
Right. Generally
John Q.
speaking.
Teenager, um,
Yeah.
the stuff that he was into kicked out the stuff from the previous generation and made
Right.
that uncool, even though you and I never believed that. And because we love the stuff that's before us too, we don't really care.
Right.
We're kind of agnostic that way.
Right.
But most kids aren't. They just want the stuff they want to listen to the stuff that's current, that's
Yeah.
made for them, and the stuff that happened before. Now that's old.
Yeah. And here's the thing: at some point, as they get older, they'll revisit it. I'm sure. Because my sister, I got a sister Amber. She's 25. We were listening to "Holding On" by LTD, and she was singing all the lyrics. So at some
Yeah,
and you
I
know what I
love
mean?
that
So
song.
yeah, me too. But that's what I'm saying. Like at some
Yeah.
point, you get older and you'll reflect, but you think about stuff that you didn't think about when you were in high school. You know what I mean?
Well, the funny thing is, it's funny that you mentioned that because I went to there's a record store out here, the
Mhm.
Record Exchange. It's over in just in Virginia. It's over in Falls Church. And I went out there just to to kind of look around because I'd been there in ages.
Mhm.
Pre-pandemic, wouldn't do it now, but at the
Right.
time, pre-mask. Um, but before our COVID era, BCE. And so I went in there and I was looking in the bins. It was in the R&B section because I'm me, sorry.
Mhm.
And but I was digging around and there was this younger guy that was in there who was probably about 15 years old, who was
Mhm.
doing the exact same thing that I was doing. He was looking for exactly the same stuff. And he
Wow.
and I got to talking and he started asking me questions because I'm
Mhm.
ancient.
Right.
And so he wanted to ask the Ancient of Days for some advice.
Mhm.
In spite of the fact that I'm Caucasian, like he still decided that I was good to answer those questions for him. Just a 15-year-old black kid.
Yeah.
And we talked for a couple of hours, and he's like,
Oh wow.
he would show me things. He's like, I stay in these places for a long time. I don't just leave. It is what it is, and I love my records. And so he was looking. He's like, "Is this good? What's on this?" And he's like, "Oh, you don't remember this? Oh, it has this on it." And then I'd sing little pieces of things to him. He's like, "Oh yeah, my mom used to love that. I gotta have this." I'm like, yeah, you do. It's really good, and I already had it, so it was okay.
Right.
And then there were a couple of times when he'd pick things up that I may or may not have been looking for. I can't confirm or deny, but he would get there first.
Hmm.
And I'm like, you need this. And I would just politely and generously kind of just let it go. And I'd be like, dang
Yeah.
it, I would if he weren't here.
Yeah.
But it's cool. So to the point that you're making,
Hmm.
it's already happening. Like it really is kind of getting to that point now
Hmm.
where the newer generation Y, I believe it is a generation Z at this
Yeah.
point, I think is where we are. But Generation Z is getting there and they're picking up these old records. And I was having the best time, even
Right.
though he was taking some things that I would have taken. He didn't take everything I would have taken,
Yeah.
but he was taking some things that I was taking. And I didn't exactly love that, but I was really enjoying the fact that he was enjoying it and that I was putting him on to things that he didn't
Right.
know about. And I would do that every once in a while too. Like I remember there was what was it? Oh, my brain's not working. Dang it! I should know this. It was a Temptations album. He was only familiar with the Motown stuff, and I
Okay.
picked up Bareback, which they had,
Hmm.
and I was like, dude, I think his name was Kevin. Like Kevin, look, and I showed him the Bareback record, which has the worst cover in the history of covers. It's a terrible album cover. It's very off-putting. And
Yeah.
he's like, "That? Are you serious?" I'm like, "Bro, look at the back of it." And he's like, "Do you recognize?" He's like, "Do you recognize any of the tunes?" He's like, "No." And I started singing some things
Hmm.
off the record. I'm like, "Bro, you need this. This is one of the best records I've ever heard.
Hmm.
I know you don't know what it is, but it's $5, and I promise you, you need it." Like, and he took it. He took it.
Right.
We exchanged cell phone information. He texted me back later. He's like, "Man, you were right. This thing's banging like a 400 SE." Like he was loving it.
Yeah.
And I did a lot of that. And but that's what's fun.
Hmm.
It's fun for me anyway. And I'm sure it is for you too. Like to
Right.
see the younger generation getting into this stuff that we were into and that our parents were into too. Like that's fun for me. I love that. So to your
Yeah.
point, it's already happening.
And it's like I said, man. At some point, like even going even when Motown was a thing, at some point people were looking at Supremes or Temptations or Marvin Gaye, and they were like, "Oh, Billie Holiday was much better than this," or you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So no matter how old something seems, at one point it was the hit, it was the thing at some point,
It was edgy.
right? Like the Beatles or Elvis,
Yeah.
that
Oh, the
that was
Beatles was a
really
problem. Yeah.
that was very edgy. People that was considered race music back then. That was super edgy. It was a huge taboo. Rock and roll was a huge taboo at one point. It looks
Sure.
corny now, but it wasn't always that way though.
Hmm.
And that's why I tell people like just if you hear something you don't understand or doesn't make sense to you, it's like just fall back. Either ask questions, and if it still doesn't make sense to you, just fall back and let them have it, man. It's their time. Let them enjoy it.
Explore. I mean, I'm still willing to explore. If there's new stuff
Right.
out there, I'll still listen to it. Like I
Mm-hmm.
still, while I don't agree with the topics of a lot of Jasmine Sullivan's music,
Yeah.
because it's a little much for me. It's a little blue, but
Infidelity.
her
Yeah.
voice is fantastic.
Right.
Fine, let her have it. Who
Mm-hmm.
cares? Like there are some great voices out there now, both male and female, and they're
Mm-hmm.
allowed to exist. It's okay. Like Bruno Mars is great.
Right.
Anderson Paak, honestly, I think Anderson Paak is better. I think he's a better
Man,
singer in terms of texture and feel and
I'm
soulful.
just glad he's finally getting his due because I've been a fan of his for like the last decade. Saw him in concert a couple times.
He's great.
Right.
Dude is
Yes.
great. And that, like, the song, but it's made me want to dig back further into that because I'll be honest with you, I didn't know. So now that I've heard that voice, I want to hear it on more things. So I've
Yeah.
kind of been digging back through to kind of catch up on the stuff that I missed. But there's
Mm-hmm.
the new stuff that's out there is perfectly fine. It's allowed to exist. It's
Mm-hmm.
not jungle music. It's okay. If it ain't
Right.
your thing, that's fine.
Right.
But it's worth investigating. It really is. So I hope I work really hard to make sure that I don't become the old man in the lawn. I hope that never
Yeah.
happens.
And I appreciate the fact that my dad isn't that person either. My dad has stayed like my dad is 56. He's always laughing at the party wherever he goes. And
That
he's
child.
yeah. But he had me when I was 20. He was 20 when they were both 20. But they're
Wow. All right.
very like maybe he doesn't get everything that's happening now,
Yeah.
obviously. He's still very he can have a conversation with a 15-year-old or a 20-year-old, you know what I mean? And they can have great dialogue, you know what I mean? And so I want to be like that. Like you said, I don't want to be that guy that is just so close-minded and nah, get off my lawn. You know what I mean? I don't want to be
Yeah.
that ever.
Yeah. I don't. My father's that way too. He's 71, and I mean, I go over there,
Hmm.
about once a week now because he's in a bubble, and so am I. So who cares?
Right.
But we go over there and we play Uno, like
Yeah.
literally physical Uno. And when we do, it's like I'll play virtually anything on my tablet, and he's
Mm.
very open minded to virtually anything that I play.
That's good.
I don't have much that is natural to him, so
Mm.
generally he ends up with a fistful of like 90s R&B and 70s R&B, and
Right.
he's okay with all of it. In fact, there are times when some chord change will pass, a jazz musician that he is, and he'll go,
Hmm.
"Oh, what was that?"
Yeah.
And it'll catch him. And there are some things that he likes. So my father is, as a musician, my father
Right.
is equally open-minded as a 71-year-old. I really respect
That's
that.
good. That's good.
So gone are the days when I would, like head into the R&B section of the record store, and be like, R&B? Like, I don't think he'd do that anymore.
Yeah, that's
He'd just,
good.
he'd just be like, oh, okay, that's what your thing is. That's cool.
Yeah.
So he's just as open-minded too. I wish everyone were.
All right.
But okay, no. So I had another idea. Um, and this is probably more obvious, to be
Okay.
fair. But I was actually, no, maybe it wouldn't be. I was thinking if we move into the 90s,
Mhm.
there were two groups that got a whole lot of attention. One of them got attention for a very short period of time, and the other got attention for a little bit longer.
Okay.
I was thinking a fun matchup might be Intro versus Silk. Um, I know, but if you just there's very little from Intro, obviously, because Kenny has passed away.
Right. They did what? Two albums or
Yeah, there's two records.
okay.
Yeah, there's New Life, yeah, there's New Life, and then there's the intro record, the self-titled record
Okay.
with Ribbon in the Sky on it. Um, but that just if you listen to the two of them, listen to the two of them side by side and take their best stuff, put their best stuff next to one another, and it
Mhm.
ain't just like it's not Intro is not just Ribbon in the Sky. There's other stuff there
Oh,
too.
and I'll even take it a step further. I'm gonna tell you this right off the bat. I was never the biggest Silk fan. like they can sing, they could sing.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Go ahead. I'm kidding. I'm
Like
messing.
they could always they could sing, they can harmonize, but all of their stuff was kind of repetitive to me. Like it was, it was about sex and all that stuff. There
Not
was
all of it, but okay.
yeah, but most of it though, most of it.
I
I think
see how you get there. Well,
right.
well, I don't know, man. I mean, there was also like "Girl You for Me," which isn't about sex.
Yeah, and they
It
hooked
was
on
"It Had
you,
to Be
stuff
You,"
like
which
that.
is not about sex.
Yeah,
Like
I mean,
I know
I
what
didn't, I didn't hate Silk.
I'm being difficult. I know what you
Yeah,
mean.
I have the stuff. I have the stuff in my iPod. I have the stuff, plenty of stuff in my iPod. But I wasn't
Yeah.
like biggest,
Well, but you have everything, so that you have it doesn't mean anything at all. You have thousands of songs in your
yeah,
iPod. Like
yeah. But yeah, but I was up like intro that first album, man. Loved it.
I just like that Edie Brickell sample that opens the record was just brilliant. It was so well, and the Untouchables were just at that point they were
Hmm.
just completely on fire. But then you get like to me, the second record is even more interesting because they took the formula and worked with other people. So you end up with like that cover they did of "What You Won't Do for Love," the Bobby Caldwell cover,
Yeah, I remember that.
which is one of the first appearances of the Neptunes, by the way. The Neptunes were sounding very un-Neptunes like on that tune.
Yeah, they did some work on I think Blackstreet's first album too. That didn't sound nothing like them.
Yeah, they were still looking for what they were going to sound like. Then that's
Right.
fine. And then they did use Your Heart for SWV, which doesn't sound like them either. Although you can
Yeah.
hear Pharrell in the background doing the octave under
Yeah.
with the girls, but well, Coco's singing lead. But by that second record, you end up with that, and then you end up with I think what is probably my second favorite intro record, which is "Somebody Loves You,"
Okay.
which is just genius. And there's so much to dig into on that record, on that second record, and it just got ignored. It
Yeah.
just got
And
lost in the crush of other groups that were doing something that was a bit too similar. I guess I'm not sure, but
I think funny how Time Fly was like the only thing that really kind of charted, I guess, but it didn't really get a lot of. It kind of came and went though.
yeah, it did very much. And then I mean, too, we can't forget that Kenny was writing for other people as well, so that was probably taking some of his time
Right.
and energy.
But yeah.
He wasn't just all about intro. He was about Mary J
Hmm.
and a bunch of other Love No Limit is him basically. He wrote the tune.
Yeah.
So, and there are a bunch of other things too. He was just very, very busy and very in demand as a background singer and as a producer. And he didn't seem to care too much,
Hmm.
whether or not his group took off or whether or not it was his
Because he
side
was
thing.
making
Because he just,
songwriters make a lot of money, so he was making his money. So
oh, he was, yeah. And I mean, I guess satisfying himself musically too. He did because he really just didn't seem to care how it worked. He was just happy to
yeah,
be. He was just happy to
yeah,
be in it. I'm
and
sure
I
that didn't
still
do the other two guys too many favors,
yeah.
but because I
But
mean, and I question how much they were doing anyway, frankly, because I'm pretty sure that the lion's share of all of those masked vocals in Ribbon in the Sky
yeah,
is
that was him.
probably him.
Yeah,
I don't know that they're in the background at all, but or if they are, it's very limited. But there was just
yeah,
a lot going on there, and a lot of, unfortunately, with Kenny, like I would have loved to have heard him as he got older, like what that voice would have sounded like, because I think there's a depth in that voice tonally. I'm saying that as he got older, I think would have been very interesting to hear, just as
yeah.
the larynx naturally lowers and gravity kind of takes hold. And I would love to have heard what that would have sounded like, and we never got the chance to hear that because he became so sick.
Yeah, one thing that intro did do. I don't think they really started it, but they were kind of like the first wave of groups to start doing this. They looked like rappers, like them, H Town,
Yeah,
Silk, Jodeci. They kind of all hit around the same time, and they didn't look like R&B singers. Like I remember, I think "Let Me Be the One" that was filmed inside of a mall. I think they were in a
it
mall.
was. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
mall. Yeah,
yeah, and they were wearing
sure
baggy
was.
jeans and chains and
Yeah,
the pants and all the stuff that you see from like your typical East Coast rapper in the early to mid '90s. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
that,
We have
I remember
Puffy
as
to
a
thank
kid,
for that whole thing.
yeah, and I remember as a kid that caught my eye right there. To this day, man, "Let Me Be the One." I love that. I never skip over that song whenever it comes to my iPod. Never. I love that song. It's like if you want to explain like early to mid '90s R&B to somebody, here, just listen to this real quick. That's
Yeah,
one of the songs I think.
yeah. I think so too. Like you
It's
could,
just it.
it
Yeah.
encapsulates that whole sound. It really
Right.
does. Ribbon
It
in the
does.
Sky does too,
Hmm.
like very well. Like the whole production that the Untouchables got out of it, really that
Yeah.
whole record. And there's other stuff. There are other things on that first
And
record.
then Love Thing, that samples from a Brand Nubian song, and it's like that was R&B. It was becoming more edgier. It was incorporating more hip hop into their to the music, but they were still harmonizing. They were still singing. And love,
They were basically taking their cues from Mary J and
mhm.
Puffy, and because
Yeah,
Puffy
the
did that
whole Uptown
exact same
sound.
thing to Jodeci, which were really the first group to do that.
Yeah, exactly.
Because and it was just I mean it's just a couple of years difference, but that was just where the sound was going, and they caught the
Yeah,
wave. And Kenny had an incredible voice, just
right.
incredible tone. And I mean, Stevie absolutely loved that cover, just
I
loved it.
bet.
That got Stevie approval. If you can get his approval, forget it.
And I'm so mad at Team so because I remember I would always for some reason I would always skip that song because I was such a huge Stevie fan. So when I
I'm
heard it,
so mad at you.
I was like, okay, this is cool. But then I would, listen to like a minute of it. And then one day I was listening to it, I was studying, and I let the song play through. And I put my pen down and I was like, where did this come from? I've been sleeping on this the whole time. Like
Yes,
once
yes, you were.
like like once they kind of make it their own thing, that's when it really becomes interesting. Like when he just goes off,
Yeah, at the end. Yeah.
I was like, this is amazing.
It
This
was interesting anyway. Like the whole thing. Come on, bro. Like the whole
Yeah,
thing.
but I didn't really appreciate it until I heard the last 2 minutes of the song, though. You know what I mean? And that's when I really was like, man, this song is amazing. Like this is great. But
That was
yeah,
another one of those I heard once and ran to the record store. And I
oh
remember
yeah.
getting it because the CD case, it was the only one left, and it was cracked to the heavens. I mean, it was in
I think you
such
told me
bad.
that it was like midnight or something. You just got in your car and you just drove.
Yeah, I did. I did that a lot. Like those were the days, man, because that was fun. It was just being led by the music. I had to
Yeah,
have it. I couldn't wait. And I jumped in my gun. It wasn't close. The store was a good 25 minutes away.
and you're in DC too. Midnight. It's a little rough.
Bruh. No, this was Tyson's Corner. This
Okay.
wasn't DC. This was Tyson's Corner. Not
Okay.
far from
Good.
DC still. But
Okay.
and I certainly didn't live far from DC at that point. But yeah,
Yeah.
no, I and there were many times I would go to the one in DC because there was one over there by GW,
Hmm.
George Washington University, which is now a CVS. But I
Yeah.
used to go to that one often. It just I would avoid it a lot because the parking was bad. But
Yeah.
Tyson's the parking was much simpler, so I would make the trip out like out there. And I got there and there was only one left because others had made this discovery before I had. And
Well,
the
it was a
case,
pretty popular record when it came out, I would think.
but right, but like this was, I'd literally only heard like the end of it, I think one other time. So
Where,
it
where are they
caught
from?
fire quick.
Where are they from?
I don't know. That's a good question. Let me see. I can
Is
find
if
out.
they're like if they're close by, if they live like anywhere in that vicinity, they might have been.
I don't think they were near. No, they were Brooklyn. They were New York.
How far is that from you?
Oh, a good 10 hours.
New York is you're not from DC.
Good 10 hours in a car.
Oh, that's right. You guys are closer to Philly.
Yeah, we are a bit closer to Philly, but
Yeah.
even then
Okay.
that's 3 hours.
That makes sense then. Yeah.
But yeah, it just caught fire so fast, and the case was just destroyed. And the CD had a crack in the hole when I got it, but I had to.
Yeah. I mean,
It didn't matter. I can get another case for it to put it in, and I did.
right.
But
Yeah.
I had to have the music, and as soon as I got in the car, and pieces of the case were falling on the floor of my car as I took the CD out, and the teeth were all done. But I put it in, and I just the whole way home, just that tune on repeat. I loved it.
I will say this: the Lose Control versus Ribbon in the Sky. That would have been fun. Lose Control. That was a good one. The heart was good.
See, to
You didn't
me,
like Lose Control?
Ribbon in the Sky destroys it.
Whoo, man.
Just destroys
I
it.
would give it
It's
Ribbon in
not
the Sky,
close for me.
but Lose Control, man. They brought some heat on that track though. They
Oh, I'm not denying that. I'm not saying that that's bad. I'm just saying that that take on rhythm in the sky, really, Ed, ribbon in the sky is just so dead perfect.
yeah.
It's just that good. It's not
It is.
beatable. It's the best Stevie cover that's ever been.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
You can't get close to it. Lose Control is adorable, and it is very good. And I mean, the
They
stuff that
brought it. They really did bring it.
yeah. Oh, and the like the vamp at the end. I mean,
Yeah.
come on.
What
Like
about
I
Happy
get
Days?
it. I feel
Yeah.
you. I get it.
What about Happy Days versus My Thing? I think that's comparable too.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
And
fair.
they're kind of along the same lines, kind of that kind of what am I trying to say? Kind of similar. I would say similar melodies.
Yeah, yeah, they kind of are of a piece. I agree with you.
I
But
think
I
wasn't
mean,
Keith,
just
did Keith Sweat have any? Did he sing on that, or he was, or kind of he was that maybe at the beginning? I think.
he produced a lot of it. Yeah.
Okay.
Like
He's
they came from him. They were signed to his record label
a lot of people
anyway.
don't. Yeah, he had somebody else too, didn't he? Old School, and then there was another group, Cut Close,
Yeah, cut close. Yeah. I like. Yeah.
and there was somebody else he had too that he had signed. I thought there was some.
Um,
I thought maybe not, but
if there was another one, I can't think of it, but he wrote like Silk's stuff, or at
yeah,
least a lot of it.
he did
Um,
good. He did them really good too, man. Because they had some hits in the '90s.
he set them up, and then I mean, even after that, like they did some work with Soul Shock with "Hooked on You," which I deeply love. I still love that track. That track is
I
still
first
banging
heard that song in Family
now.
Matters. That's the first time I heard that song. It was playing in the background, and I was like, "What is this? I got to have the song." It was, I think, with
Yeah,
Laura and Steve in the background. They kissed for the first time. Um, yeah, hooked on you.
that was another one that I heard on the radio and just left to get it. Like,
Yeah,
oh yeah, I have to have this. And then of course the single had like an extended version, which is
oh,
even better than I imagined. So like I have to have that too. So
huh,
I bought the CD single right away.
interesting.
Yeah. And then they kept it going for a while too. I mean, they started working with D-Light, and then you end up with a bunch of other things too that are really good because he had a sound and it went really well with them. And Gary just Lil G just killed that stuff. Just his voice just loved that material,
Yeah,
um, and they continued to be successful even after that. So they kept it going for a long time. In fact, not too long ago, I think they just did their best song just a couple of years ago with "It Only Takes One," which is
okay.
an absolutely gorgeous ballad. And I fell in love with that. Was another, like, if the record stores had been around like they were then, it's another one I would have run out of my apartment to go get. Thankfully, all I had to do was go to iTunes and download
Are
it.
they still
But
together?
yeah, they're still a thing even
The same
now.
five people.
Same five people,
That does not
still
happen.
still sounding great.
That's very rare because that never happens.
Yeah, I mean, there's still singing. I mean, let me look at how old Lil G is. Yeah, it doesn't tell me, but he's got to be somewhere close to my age,
They
and
got to be. Yeah,
still just destroying it, singing well beyond what he should be capable of at his age. Um,
yeah.
yeah,
That's amazing though. That all five of them are still together. Like that doesn't happen.
bro, it only takes one. If you haven't heard it, it's life giving. It's so
I'm a, I'm
good.
a. You know what? I probably have it too, and I probably just don't even know it. I might even have it
Of
already.
course, because you have everything.
And I mean,
But
I'll listen. I'll put in a playlist, and I'll be like, "When did I put this on? When did I put?" And I'm just like, "Man, yeah." So
if you don't know, you need to know about it. It's so good. But that's kind of, to me, like the reason that I think that this versus works is because their highs were so high.
yeah.
Like I and I don't know who takes it
You know what I
because
would? You know who I would have put intro up against?
hmm,
Portrait.
who?
Portrait. Here we go.
Okay, I hear that.
Similar catalogs as far as like how many albums they both put out? What, two or three?
I think it was like two. Yeah, for both. I think it was just two.
Yeah.
And then they both kind of got over with a cover tune. How Deep Is Your
Mhm.
Love for Portrait, which is just
The Bee Gees.
ridiculously good.
Yeah.
It destroys the Bee Gees version for me.
Oh,
Um,
yeah.
bruh, have you heard it?
I have, but I was just listening to the Bee Gees version like a couple days ago, and I'm like,
Bruh,
the
go no, but you don't understand. The chorus is in five. It's 5-part harmony where the Bee Gees version is only in three because there's just three of them. No shade,
yeah,
it's great, but hearing it in five,
yeah. But the thing I love about the Bee Gees was it was so 70s, man. That was just I just love that. I just love that sound. It
oh,
was
I do too. I do too. I completely get it. And I mean, in
it's a
terms
very
of
calming.
production,
The song's very calming too.
it is. I agree. And just that Rhodes alone,
Hmm.
like I get it. I totally get it, and it's great. I
Yeah,
just think that the portrait version is just better
I'll
for
give it.
me.
I'll listen. I'll check it out again.
Just it's just me. I know that, but I yeah no I yeah that would be a very interesting matchup too.
Yeah.
The thing you could like some of these groups you could put them in multiple matchups and it wouldn't bother me. You know.
Oh yeah, yeah. I actually got another group matchup, but I'm gonna get to that one a little bit later if there's time. If not, we can do a part two maybe sometime. But
Yeah, we should. Well, this is going to be a part two in it. There's going to be parts of this in and of itself.
yeah.
But
So my
okay, so
next
I did mine. So go for yours.
so my next one, I'm gonna
What's
go
your
back
next
to
one?
I'm gonna go back to the 70s. I'm gonna do Al Green, which is Bill Weathers. You think of that matchup?
My gosh, that's not bad at all.
Yeah.
Because they've both been sampled, one about as often as the other. I just
Yeah.
think it's an interesting matchup too, in that when you look at Bill Withers, I mean, Bill didn't care as much about the trappings of success as Al did.
He was basically like Donnie. He was one of those guys that he really didn't get the credit he deserved until after his time was over, as far as like his time is like, his peak,
But Bill was more like, I can take it or leave it.
Yeah, he always because
And
after
Al wasn't. And
yeah,
neither
I
was
think
Donnie. Like Donnie wanted it. Bill was like, if it comes, it comes. It
well, I
felt
remember
like that to
Bill
me.
in the mid '80s. Bill could just kind of fell off the map, and he didn't do anything after that. Like
He
no,
didn't try. He just
didn't do
got
any
sick of the
interviews.
music business and just got out of it.
But you know what though? Sometimes that's the best thing because like entertainment business, the music business, it can eat you whole, man. And like, but I'm gonna veer off the subject a little bit, but like Big Sean, he said he had to step away for a minute because it had been like 4 years since he released something. He just finally came out with something last year, and he said he was thinking about committing suicide. So I'm just like, there's something about this industry,
Oh,
music and movie the industry. It's just it can get to you, man. I don't know what I don't know exactly what I have an idea, but it's probably a lot deeper than I would ever know. But it can eat at you, man. And so Big Sean was like, hey, I just got to take a step back, and I just had to regroup because yeah, it can tear you apart, man.
yeah. The business itself is evil. I work on the periphery of it, and it's evil. It's
Yeah,
really, really bad. So it'll chew you up and spit you out for sure.
but yeah,
Even
but
now,
like
more than ever, really.
yeah,
But go ahead.
and like Bill, man, like he's like Bill, like you said, he's been sampled to death, like Blackstreet.
Grandma's hands, like sampled forever and covered forever. Yeah.
Right, and that's one of those that I didn't discover until years later because I was 12 when No Diggity came out, so that was a version that I heard first, and then about 4 or 5 years later, I was like, well, wait a minute, what is this? Lean on Me, Time X did that, which actually,
No, that was Club Nouveau.
oh, that's right. I see,
Same thing though. Same thing.
yeah,
Same
I
thing.
get
In their
them two confused
defense.
all the time. I get them confused all the time, but yeah,
Same thing.
Lean on Me, Lovely Day, that's been covered a lot,
Yeah.
man. That might be one of my 5 or 10 because I have a lot of favorite songs, but that might be in my 5 or 10 though. Like that Lovely Day is just it's one of those songs that makes me want to cry,
Yeah.
but cry though. Like it's just such a uplift. It's so uplifting. And this goes back to what I said again. The 70s was just the greatest era because I don't think no other era can really get me like songs could in the 70s.
And then check it out. So
Right.
then out of thin air, Bill
Mhm.
comes back on a single by Grover Washington
Just the two
Jr.
of us.
What? Like nobody was looking for that. He showed up on Dude's record with a song he didn't write.
Hmm.
And the focus wasn't even on him. If you listen to the album version, very little of it is him. You've heard the whole thing,
Yeah, I
yeah?
have it in my because he sings the beginning and
Well, you
then
have everything. That doesn't count.
but then it kind of like it goes off into Grover just doing his thing.
Yeah, and the band just killing it. He's not much of the tune.
Right.
But
But
because the song is so good, the record label went, oh, okay. And they cut just him into it
right.
so that it's just as much him as it is anybody. In fact, it's less Grover than it is
Hmm.
Bill, the single. And the single was at number 2 forever.
And then Will Smith did
It's a
the
pop tune. Like,
and Will Smith did it and it did big. So like everything that he did that got sampled ended up doing well too, it seemed like.
but it's just that it was just shocking that Bill could come back that way. And it
Right.
was just like the tone of his voice. It feels like a comfortable couch. Like it
Yeah.
just feels like home when you listen to him sing, and nothing sounds. He makes things sound credible that aren't.
He has a very
He
super
just makes things work. Like that lyric on its own isn't amazing,
no, it's
but
not.
because it's him, he makes it feel like pathos. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Well,
it
he just
feels
has such a
so much deeper than it would otherwise.
his voice is so calming and it's so soothing. Like everything he sings, he never I mean, I've heard better singers but he never gets outside of himself. Like he's always within himself.
Yeah.
He never tries to do anything that he can't do.
No.
And
And he doesn't, he as a singer, I couldn't agree with you more. Like he never had a lot of range.
but he did.
Didn't have a lot of power, and he
I
did,
did.
and he didn't need it.
I think on Lovely Day though, he had like a one of his notes was like 20 seconds. Like he held a note for like 20 seconds, I think, on Lovely Day.
No, I know, but I'm saying it's all
Yeah.
within like an octave.
Yeah.
He didn't need to go crazy because he realized that what made his voice work didn't have anything to do with having a bunch of range. It was in the tone.
Right.
And he
You know,
just used the tone.
yeah, there's like a lot of West Virginia in him, you know what I mean? And they came out in his music in a good way, you know what I mean?
And he
And
was so unassuming too. Like he wasn't an egomaniac.
yeah.
And you could hear it in the way he sang. Like it felt more like conversation, you know.
Hmm.
And it's one of the most effective vocals.
Use me
Like
up.
yeah. But that's just it just feels like conversation. It doesn't
Yeah,
feel like he's actively trying to sing.
right.
And that's part of why it works as well as it does.
Yeah, there's always been there's few artists out there like I put Anita in there, Sade, and I put Bill in there. Just artists that are just so soothing. Like they're just so like no matter what's going on with your day, you can put in a song and they just bring you down. They just bring you back down. They calm you down.
Yeah.
What Bill was for me. And then the Reverend, Al Green, he has a very distinctive voice as well. And of course there's a hot grit story. He's always going to be known for that. But
Yeah.
but
But he was actively trying to sing and actively trying to entertain and actively trying to blow your
mhm,
mind with his abilities. And he always did.
yeah, because he had that very very country voice. Al Green.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Let's Stay Together is
Yeah.
man. Yeah,
It's a standard, is what it is. It's a modern day standard.
Love and Happiness, Driving Wheel, Time
Mhm.
Only, you know.
Yep.
And I think he had a song with John Legend, I want to say about 12 or 13 years ago that actually I think it charted.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna look this up.
Cheat. I've cheated several times already.
So it's called "Stay with Me" by the Sea, and it's with John Legend. It charted at number 49 on the R&B charts.
Yeah. I mean, that's not good, but I
I mean,
had it on.
for him, for a guy that's been singing since the late 60s, that's pretty good.
Eh,
I mean,
yeah. I mean,
it got played like on the Quiet Storm station, so I mean, I think that's decent.
because that would be, I wonder what it did on like the adult like the adult R&B charts. It probably did much better there, I would
Yeah,
imagine.
yeah, yeah. It's kind of weird how R&B is kind of cut into like two
It
different.
got so segmented. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
true.
but yeah, I'm still in love with you. Yeah, he has. Al Green had a lot of hits. I don't know if Bill Withers had his kind of like wasn't as deep, but the songs that he did put out are pretty timeless though.
Agreed. Yeah,
And
if you take the best of one and the best of the other, then yeah,
right,
I
right.
agree. I
So
agree completely. And see, one of the best Al Green things I think ever is the theme from Soul Food, the TV show. I'm not even kidding.
I think so. The first season, I think it was, and I think they changed it the second season. But
Did they?
I do remember him on the. That was a good show, by the way.
It was, but I don't remember it changing. Did it change?
Yeah, it changed. I don't think he was on the later seasons. I mean, it kind of had the same kind of melody, but they took him out for somebody else, though, I believe.
Interesting. I didn't, because it was him
Mhm.
and Cy Smith, who's actually a local DC vocalist,
Okay.
who's just ridiculous, and the two of them sound amazing together. And
Yeah.
I only wish it were a full song. It's so good though, and he sings the fool out of it, and so does she. It just,
Yeah. Do you ever download like theme show songs or something like that? You ever done that before?
bruh, I have everything.
I'm gonna confess something. I have the All That theme song, TLC. I have it on my iPod. Had to download it, man.
Yeah, I have that too. I have everything.
Did
I have hundreds of theme songs. I have so many. It's
have
ridiculous.
Three's Company.
Yeah, it's a sickness. I have Valerie's Family with Roberta Flack because she sang it. So I have that. I
Okay. I'm gonna add that to
Do
the
you remember
list.
those old this is a non sequitur, but do you remember those television's greatest themes?
I,
Those
I think
CDs? Well, they were
I,
records first, but
I never had them, but I know what you're talking about though.
oh, I had them all.
I guess what I put on my iPod last month though. You're gonna laugh.
What?
The Doogie Howser theme.
Yeah, I have that. I have Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Which one? The In Vogue version? The In Vogue?
Both.
Okay.
Because I
And that
have the one that Joe
version.
Turano did, and then I have the In Vogue version. I
I
have
have the
all the
rock
different
version.
worlds.
What about rock? The In Vogue version of rock?
Yeah, of course. And the
Yeah.
original rock too. I have
Yeah.
all of it. I have everything. I'm trying to tell you.
What about New York Undercover? I have the New York Undercover theme too.
Yeah, I have that, of course.
Do you really?
I have the soundtrack album to New York Undercover on the shelf.
Okay. Yeah, but
A Night at Natalie's.
my favorite of all time though, easily has to be Taxi. Has to be Taxi.
Well, you know what that is, right?
Yeah, I don't know who I don't remember who did the original score, but it's a white guy. I can't think of his name right now.
That narrows the field. There's a oh, the white guy, of course. The one white guy. Got it. I feel you.
But I know
No,
what you're talking about. Yeah.
it's so there was an album that came out. I want to say it was 1978, I believe. It was an album called Touchdown by an artist named Bob James.
Okay.
And on that album is a song called Angela, and that's what the Taxi theme is. It's actually Angela, a condensed version of Angela.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
It's gorgeous, and frankly, that's one that's better live. If you look up Bob James Angela live, the stuff you find, like the performances you find, as good as the recorded version is, bruh. He has much more fun with it live, and it's longer, and you don't care. Like
because the long version is pretty. I got like the 6 minute version of that song.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So you have the whole thing then. Yeah. It's a
Yeah.
beautiful, and that's one of those that you can just like, it's like audio ASMR. Like you
Yeah.
just put it on and you just get lost in it for like 6 minutes.
It's like
So good.
Taxi. I used to watch. I remember when I think it might have been Nick and Nat or TV Land when they first were brought on TV. When they became network back in like the mid 90s. I guess I was what 11, 12. I was maybe a little bit younger.
You child.
And I used to love Taxi.
I have the whole series here on DVD. I have the whole.
I'm jealous, man. I still got to order that. I remember that. I still remember the episode when Danny DeVito and that kid were making the bets, and the kid was beating them, and then they did a bet who can hold their breath the longest. So DeVito acted like he was dying or passing out, and the kid starts talking like, "Sir, are you okay?" And DeVito's like, "I won the bet. I won."
Yeah.
Man, I will forever remember that. Forever.
I still remember that. I'm gonna make him squeal like an eel and squirm like a worm. He was
even
just
the cast, man. That
impossible.
was a loaded cast.
It was. Judd Hirsch was supposed to be the star, and he wasn't because everybody else was so much more interesting. He got swallowed up by the cast. I mean, Andy Kaufman is a comedic genius.
Well, yeah, Kaufman is Kaufman. You can't, yeah.
He's unhinged. And Jim Ignatowski, like Christopher Lloyd. Mary Lou Henner was fun. Like it was just such a great cast.
Yeah.
Such a good show. But we need to do that too. Podcast number 5.
With shows or what?
I'll write these things down when I edit the show. Don't worry about it. But like all the TV things, like talking about TV themes. There are plenty of great R&B TV themes out there. Plenty of great TV themes in general.
Yeah, that would be a good one. I'm not sure what I would really be able to add because I don't know who did that stuff, but I would still love to talk about it.
I'll fill it in. I'll just tell you.
Okay, yeah, no problem.
You can research. I mean, you can find it.
Yeah. But
there's such great stuff out there.
But I'd have to give it to Al just because, like I said, he
for the verses,
and I think he was more mainstream too. Like I feel like his stuff.
He was.
Yeah,
I think he was too. And then of course he did that duet with Annie Lennox, "Put a Little Love in Your Heart," which is actually very
late '80s. It was late '80s.
Yeah, that was '80s.
Yeah. But I here's the thing. I like Bill's music better, and that's no knocking against Al Green because I love his music too. Yeah. But if you had to put him in a verses and they were doing 20 hits versus 20 hits, Al Green probably takes that. Being objective.
Yeah, I'd give you that too. Just because they're just the number of classics that came out of that came from him,
right?
And that he was like legitimately trying to he was kind of more a performer, and still every bit an artist too. We kind of had both, and Bill was very much kind of an artist and exploring. And
the one thing I do like about Al Green that I appreciate, he never went pop though. He never, like at his peak, he never really did that. And his stuff still charted very well, like in the Billboard 100. Like he always charted very well.
Neither of them did.
Was that?
neither of them really tried to go pop. Stuff just
Right.
happened in terms of
Exactly.
success, but neither of them really tried to do that.
And that's very rare because Let's Get Together went #1 on like R&B charts and the pop charts, and that was not a pop record at all.
No, it was just no, it was just a really good song. And I
Yeah,
mean, even the pop charts realized how good a song it was, and they pushed it that way. And it was just on this little label too. It wasn't like it was on those giant record labels on High Records.
yeah,
And it's
exactly.
still, it just, you can't hold a great song down.
Yeah, I agree with you there.
So no, I agree with you about Al. I think while I absolutely love Bill Withers, I think
Hmm.
I think Al kind of
Rest
has
in
to
peace.
take that one.
Yeah,
So, well, this has been fun. This has been a lot of fun talking. And of course, we've gone on at length. It's what we do. So you'll notice there are multiple parts of this. Um, and we have like 4 other ideas that we're going to take advantage of.
right.
But yeah, so before you go, since you like this and you know you did, please like and subscribe. We will do more. I know there was a bit of a dry spell, but the dry spell is over and we're going to get back to business here.
Yes, sir.
So like and subscribe and tell us what you thought of it too underneath. Um, and thank you so much for watching. This has been fun. We will do more. And peace out.